Okay, so before we get started with object-oriented programming within Python and the use of classes and objects, what you need to understand first is a couple of different terms. So here's a list of all the terms that you'll need for this sort of area. Although I might not mention all of them, you will come across them at some point, so I will explain them all for you. So first of all, what is a class? Well, a class is a user-defined prototype for an object that defines a set of attributes that characterize any object of the class. The attributes are data members or class members and instance variables, and methods which are accessed via a dot notation. So that's a very, very broad sort of overview of what a class is, and in layman's terms, it is basically a place on which you can store methods, which I'll get onto in a few moments, all together along with variables and so on, so that they are all accessible within the same area. So it's an easy and efficient way of storing all similar code together so that you can call it if you need to. And a class variable is a variable that is shared by all instances of a class. So a class can be initialized multiple times, and that is the main purpose behind having a class, is that you can have two of them running simultaneously and you won't conflict with each other. Whereas if you did it with just straight functions, they could do. And then we have data member, which is a class variable or instance variable that holds data associated with a class and its objects. And then we have a instance variable, which is a variable that is defined inside a method and belongs only to the current instance of a class. So it's sort of like a local variable, which we've discussed before, but is specific to a initialized class. So each one of these instance variables will vary depending on which instance of a class we are using. I'll get onto all of this in more detail throughout the rest of this chapter. Inheritance is the transfer of characteristics of a class to another class that are derived from it. So you could have two classes, and one of them, for example, being animals, and then you could have two classes coming off of that which inherit all of the things from animals. So say an animal can breathe, an animal can eat, and an animal can sleep. And you might get, say, dog, in which case it can pant, it can run, and it can bark. And you might have a cat, which inherits from animals as well, because it can do all of the things that an animal can do, plus it can meow, it can sleep very well, it can eat very well, and it can hunt, for example. So you can see that an actual class can be a very broad thing, and then you can define it to more refined things down the line by using inheritance. An instance is an individual object of a certain class. So it is, say, if we had cats, then we might call the cat. We might call four cat classes, and each one have a different name. Each one of those is an instance of the class. Initiation is once a class is being called, so once you're initializing a class, it's the process of creating the class. So you can have certain functions that call on it as soon as you call the class. It can have methods which run instantly, which help you set up certain variables, for example. A method is a special type of function that is defined in class definition. So it's just a function which is within a class, basically. And then an object is a unique instance of a data structure that is defined by its class. An object comprises of both data members, which are class variables and instance variables, and methods as well. So those are all the terms that you need to know for object-oriented programming, or at least that's all the terms that you need to know at this stage. Some of them we won't come across and some of them we will. So if you get confused, just make a note of each one or watch this video a couple of times, and it will help you significantly understand what I'm talking about throughout the actual chapter. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.